Hi Pisces, here is your career reading. It is a new reading that I've decided to give a try. Not everybody is always interested in love and relationships. If you do like this career reading and you'd like to see more of them in the future, then please leave me a comment. If you don't like it, then again, by all means, leave me a comment and let me know. It's called the Horseshoe Spread. I am still getting to grips with it myself, but each card has its own specific position here, okay? Now, the first card we have, which is the Signifier, we've got the Five of Cups here. The Five of Cups, it talks about the loss of something and focusing on that. Now, I did another reading today. I can't remember who it was for, but they also had the Five of Cups as their signifier. But it can talk about how maybe some of you have lost a job. Maybe some of you lost out on a promotion. Maybe some of you had applied for a new job and you didn't get it. But whatever this is talking about for you, it's talking about you focusing on the loss of something, when really you should be focusing on what still remains. There's still two cups standing here. Now, it is something that has affected you on an emotional level, okay? Now, in your near past position, but may still be having an effect now, we have the Five of Swords here, which is reversed. The Five of Swords, it can talk very much. It can talk about an element of somebody may have been incompetent, or somebody may have made a mistake within their place of work. And there may be an element of gleeful spite in others. It may also be that if you have been overlooked in terms of a promotion, then it can be talking about how others again may be relishing in that a little bit, okay? It can as well talk about being careful when it comes to arguments within the workplace, because there's not going to be any winners or losers here. And it can also talk about how you or somebody else may be being very stubborn here and not being prepared to listen to the other person's point of view on something. But the Five generally talks about conflict. And because it's swords, it's more talking about verbal confrontation and the need to try to avoid that. Don't get caught up in petty arguments within the workplace. And don't allow anybody to drag you into that. Now, as I said, this is in the near past. So there may very well have been some petty arguments. Here in your present position, we've got the Three of Pentacles reversed. Again, the Three of Pentacles, it can talk about there being a lack of teamwork. It can be highlighting again how there may be these quarrels and arguments going on between you and work colleagues. It may be that, you know, it may be that somebody is being spiteful and is having that element of gleeful spite if you have lost out on something in terms of your work. And that may be causing confrontation. But this card talks about there being a lack of teamwork, about there being no growth or advancement, either with your work colleagues or with your job in itself. In the positive position, we have here the Page of Cups. Now, the page can be messengers, okay? The thing, though, with this card is it can talk about somebody behaving in an immature way. If you think of a child who's having a temper tantrum because they can't get their own way, or they can't have their own needs met all the time, it can talk about somebody that almost reverts to childish behaviour here, because they can't have their own way. It can as well talk about how, if that's not the case, it can be talking about how you may be being very introverted during this month within your place of work. You may be somehow isolating yourself on an emotional level, yes, from your work colleagues. And it may be talking about the need for you to do that. Because if there has been this lack of teamwork and there's been this confrontations and arguments, it may be better to step aside. And it may be better to try to take your emotions out of this and not allow it to impact you on an emotional level. Because if you do, then maybe we could see that Five of Cups situation. So this could be talking about an element of emotional detachment, may very well be in your best interest. In the negative position, we do have the Devil card, which can talk about addictions, but it can also talk about feeling trapped or tied to someone or something. It may very well be that you are feeling trapped within your place of work. It may be that you had applied for another job somewhere else and you wasn't successful, and it ends up that you need to stay in this place of work where you're not happy, where there is a lack of teamwork, where you feel there is a lack of growth and advancement for you, where there is a lot of bickering and arguments within the office. And it may very well be making you feel trapped here. But this Devil card, it is a major arcana, by the way, and it is number 15. It talks about your perception here. These chains are very loose. At any point, they can take the chain off and they can free themselves from this situation. If you have been turned down for another job somewhere else, or even a promotion, it doesn't mean that another job's not going to come along or another opportunity for promotion here. It's your thought perceptions here. It's the way you are viewing this situation that is making this feel very real to you. That's making you feel that you are trapped here. In the house position, we have number 3 in the major arcana. We have the Empress card. Now, the Empress, it can talk about, it can touch on how where you may have felt once happy within this place of work, it can now start to feel as though in some way you're being stifled. If there is no growth or advancement, or you feel that there's no room for promotion and there's no room to be able to grow and advance within the company you're working for, then it may very well be that you have that feeling of, yes, being trapped, and 2, as I said, feeling stifled. Feeling like there's no movement, there's no growth here. Because the Empress in the upright can talk about new ideas, the birth of new ideas. But here in the reverse, we see a lack of that. Now, down here, we have the Knight of Wands. It is fire energy, the Knight of Wands, okay? Yes, it can talk about somebody in your environment at work, maybe, but the position it's fallen in, it's fallen in your best path to follow. Now, the Knight of Wands is somebody that is very impulsive, very restless, impatient, and lacks foresight. Somebody that goes charging into something without thinking things through. He's in such a rush to speed things up that he doesn't look at the bigger picture here. Now, this could very well be talking about not going charging off and resigning from your job without looking at the bigger picture, without making sure that you do have another job to go to. It could as well talk about how you may become very restless and very impatient with what is going on in your place of work. In terms of the arguments, the quarrelling, the bickering. In terms of lack of teamwork. It may end up making you go charging in and saying something or doing something that you may end up regretting. So you need to be very careful here. Try to resist charging in to any arguments or battles here, because your outcome card is the 5 of Wands. And again, this talks of conflict. It talks about there being external struggles. It talks about a group of people trying to get their opinions across, trying to get their voice heard within the place of work. But nobody is listening to each other. And all it is, it's just arguments. And that, I think, is what this 5 of Cups is talking about. I don't know whether it's you, Pisces, that is, and look, I'm not trying to blame you for everything here, but whether it is you that is in some way instigating these arguments, or that it's talking about how you are just not getting along with your work colleagues at the moment. It may very well be your superiors. There may be some confrontation going on between you and the management. But overall, with that 5 of Swords, that 3 of Pentacles, the 5 of Wands, they all talk about conflict, about arguments, about nobody listening to each other, about there being a lack of teamwork, a lack of growth, a lack of advancement. And we see there, up the top with that devil card, we see you feeling trapped. It may be that you have to stay at this place of work at the moment. You've got no choice. There may not be any other job opportunities for you at this present time. And this job may very well be like a noose around your neck, because it's not emotionally fulfilling you anymore. And it may not be talking about a loss here. It may be talking about a lack of emotional fulfillment. But there are still some positive things here. And you need to turn around and try to focus on them. Don't go charging in. Don't act impulsively or recklessly here. If there is arguments going on, lack of teamwork, then that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed in a mature way, rather than being overly emotional, rather than acting in a childish way, rather than allowing yourself to get caught up in this conflict and bickering. It may need you to be the bigger person here and try to resolve whatever's going on in a much more mature way. So, Pisces, that does bring this reading to an end. There's definitely conflict going on in your place of work, and it needs to be resolved, because it's not bringing you any emotional happiness. So, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for liking, sharing and subscribing. Take care. Bye.